A highly debated topic of our time is energy. Where do we get it? How much does it cost? And what is it doing to our environment? Most importantly, what are the effects on our environment of us getting the energy? A lot of people would argue that using oil and natural gas and other fossil fuels cause great harm to the environment. We have to drill and we have to harvest these natural resources, and in the process, we're harming the environment. Now, a lot of people argue what the right and wrong solution to this is. Um, some would say we should rely more on battery powered vehicles, or we should rely more on batteries and electricity in general. It's better for the environment. They're not wrong, but where are we getting this energy from in the first place? Batteries don't charge themselves. What are some good solutions? I believe that wind energy is a very viable source of energy and a great solution to this problem. Now, the whole world isn't facing an energy crisis just yet, but it could come to that one day. And when it does come to that, where are we going to get our energy from? And what can we do to stop it from happening? Nobody wants an energy crisis on their hands. That's why I believe that utilizing wind energy and wind turbines, wind turbine plants, and compounds can greatly reduce our greenhouse gas effects and also sustain our energy needs. One wind turbine can produce enough power to power over 332 houses in 1 year. That's a whole year for two neighborhoods, two large neighborhoods. One wind turbine produces 1.5 megawatts of power on average. Now, if they're running at full efficiency, they can produce anywhere up to 3.5 megawatts of power. Um, to put it in perspective, 1 megawatt of power would be equivalent of, like I said, almost 300 homes being powered for 1 year. It's a lot of energy from one wind turbine. Now, to have one of these wind turbines out front of your house or something like that, maybe that's not feasible. But to invest in having wind turbine farms far away from you and have the energy ran to your house just like it is now, but from a different source, nobody would know the difference and would be saving and doing better for the environment. I think another viable source of energy is solar energy. Solar energy has been experimented with for over the past 20, 30 years, and they're slowly perfecting it and making it more efficient. I don't believe it's as efficient as wind energy, but it definitely can be one day. Just five 1 meter squared solar panels can produce enough energy for a 2,000 square foot house over the period of 1 year. Now, I don't know about you, but 5 meters squared, that's not a big space. How big is your roof? If you don't live in a box, then you probably have enough space on your roof. Now, someone would argue that solar panels are expensive and they take up a lot of space or something, which obviously don't. I've just argued that point. But you got to think of it this way: how much money do you pay the electric company per year for your light bill? Now, if you put solar panels on your roof, yeah, you might spend 10 grand. But one, the government's going to give you a tax write off each year for the energy that you don't use from other energy sources. And two, after you pay those solar panels off, it's 10 grand. I mean, you'd spend 10 grand on a new car. After you pay those off, you basically don't have an electric bill. It's not basically, you don't. I think people's hesitation to switch to utilizing more natural or less natural resources and more renewable and sustainable energies is because they really just don't know the facts. And sadly, I think it just comes down to that. People just aren't educated on the subject. I think if people were more educated on the subject and they just did some research and maybe saw how cost effective and efficient it is, then they'd be more willing to try it, and we could lean more towards renewable and sustainable energy instead of using up all the fuel and energy that we have coming out of the ground and harming our environment. I'm not saying that we need to switch solely to using renewable and sustainable energies because is it feasible? Yes. But it would also take up a lot of time and energy. It would be worth it, but I don't ever see that transition happening. What I'm saying is, why can't we use both side by side? Just like a hybrid Prius car. I mean, they're coming up with sports cars now that are hybrids. It runs on gas and battery. Now, if you have solar panels at your house and you have a nice hybrid sports car, which is effective or which is expensive, granted, but if you have a nice hybrid sports car, it takes 8 hours to charge it, and I believe they'll run for 16 to 20 hours on one battery charge. Now, if you have solar panels on your house, charging this car running 16 to 20 hours and using what 70 miles a gallon for gas, how much money are you spending to drive this car? How less of a carbon footprint are you leaving on the environment? And you kind of just feel good, not harming the environment. Now, there are some pros and cons. I've mentioned a lot of pros for renewable and sustainable energy. The cons could be, some would argue that wind farms take up huge tracts of land, they're harmful to wildlife, they interfere with migratory birds, things like that. Um, Solar panels, like I said, they're expensive, um, they look ugly. A lot of people would argue those things, but in the end, I think the benefits greatly outweigh the risks and the costs, and definitely benefits our environment way more to use these resources. I think that if we just work together, we can keep our energy and possibly save our planet. Be a hero with me.